Yeah, the system is corrupt, but I went from, looking over my shoulder, being pulled over a ton, running, anxiety, spending all my time fighting court, I was in court at least once a month for years, at least once a month, sometimes twice a week. That was my life. I had to leave work. Like it was just this thing inside me, and it was completely corrupt, and I got free from it. That's what keeps me going. So I know it can be done because I did it.
Because you did it, yeah.
Yeah. So it can be done on a mass scale. We just got to do the same thing that I did,
Hey
basically.
guys, wanted to say thank you so much for continuing to tune in week after week. I get loads of lovely comments about the guests and the value, and it's brilliant. So keep the comments coming, keep liking and subscribing. I think the stats at the moment are at least sort of 50 to 60% of my viewers are still not subscribed. So if you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe, please. It really helps me to grow the channel. Also, don't forget I'm over on Substack. It's at Melody Kate. And over there, you will get, as a paid subscriber, which is only £7 a month, you get early access to my podcasts. And you also get free access to private webinars, which I've now started. So if you're interested in that, go to Substack. And finally, the Willoughby Genius app, some of you will remember, Charles Fernandez has created this amazing app with different modules, and it's all about being able to claim your money back on GDPR breaches. It's about knowing what to say when you're dealing with the police or bailiffs at your door. It's got everything in there, absolutely everything. And if you want to subscribe to that, you can go to bit.ly/Willoughby app. And if you use the code MELNSP, so MELNSP, that's Never Settle Podcast, then you will get £5 off. Thanks again, guys. Well, hello, lovely listeners, and welcome, viewers. Today, by popular demand, we have the wonderful Cal Washington, who is back for a second time. We had Cal on a few months ago. It was one of my fans that watches a guy who I'm friends with, and he said, "You've got to get this guy on." And we so many people were blown away, totally blown away. And then I was with another friend the other day, and she was telling me how wonderful this Cal Washington is. I said, "Yeah, I know. He's been on my podcast. Did you not watch?" I said, and he's coming back on next week. So she was very excited about that. Um, so thank you so much for coming back on. I know it's early where you are because you have a bit of a run around with the kids and everything in the morning. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah.
Cool. So if those of you that don't know Cal, he has the InPower movement, and the core mission is basically securing life, liberty, and property through accountability. And it's all about using things like the bills of exchange in the way that they should be used, the way that it was all designed to be used. And yet our Admiralty courts refuse to let us use them in that way, especially when you don't know what you're doing. And I was just saying to you that you did a recent podcast on the way forward, and I haven't watched all of it, but you went into quite a bit of detail about, and this is really relevant. So the guy I told you about who got arrested and was released, it's all to do with driving and sorry, traveling and not joindering. He refuses to joinder, so he keeps getting picked up. And it happened again a couple of days back. And anyway, got out yesterday, and we were just talking about what that was. And so I know he'll be interested in listening to that because he actually got arrested for not showing up in court, which was rubbish because he did show up in court, but obviously he doesn't join her. So and the police, probably the same where you are and in every country in the world, have been trained a certain way, and it's not to know the knowledge that you like to empower people with, and that there's a growing number of people in this country that are empowering themselves with, and part of your organization as well, because Nahid, who I was speaking with last week, she's part of this. She absolutely loves what you're doing. And it's interesting, I'll just a little side note. So the same guy that got arrested, he got arrested a few months back. and it was Nahid that got him out, or the paperwork that she put in that got him out. And then what he did afterwards, he wrote to the Royal Courts of Justice, and they actually wrote back, and it was signed from the Admiralty Marshal, and it says we cannot deal with you in this Admiralty court. Well, I've not seen a letter like that before from any court in this country. So it was like, oh, well, there's the admission that we all know anyway, but you're actually putting it on paper. So that was quite interesting. So Cal, tell us what is relevant for you right now. Well, just to set the scene, last time you talked to us about the absolute corruptness of the divorce process that you went through, where basically the lawyers colluded and basically took your house.
Yeah.
Um, and you talked about the 300 million promissory note. I mean, if you want to talk about those briefly, because I know people that haven't watched the first one would be interested in that. Um, but I know that also what you're doing right now is you've automated, I believe, the notice of liabilities in terms of what's happening. It's really expanding now. So really interesting to hear that as well. So just start from where you want to in terms of that brief overview, and then go on to, what's really cooking right now.
Okay. Yeah, InPower Movement is something that sort of morphed out of my own experience with a divorce and driving from about 20 years ago ish. And so I went through the court system like this other man did, and was arrested. I did all that and pepper sprayed, and I did 60 days in jail, holding to my stance, um, where it took them 60 days to get through a 1 day trial. And so I've been through it all. I've seen it. I wouldn't say I know everything, but I've experienced a lot more than most people would. And certainly, the way I was living my life before that, this never would have happened to me. So the divorce kind of sent me into the court system, and it was that and the aggressiveness of it, and just the like no didn't seem to be any justice about it. Lies were considered truth, and even obvious lies. And I didn't know what's going on. I thought I grew up in a free country and the court was this justice thing because I'd never really been in there before. So that's where it came from, is trying to figure out where I was and how to get free of it. And in a divorce and child support thing, they really don't let you go when you're the man. Um, you're just painted with the deadbeat dad brush. And so everybody shuns you if you try and stand against that. But I did, and it was that journey starting in the divorce court that led to me understanding the whole birth certificate thing and the capitalized name, which is I think what this man is doing. Sounds like because he's in the court but he's not appearing. So I did all that, got the same arrests that he did, held overnight, signing things and to get out. And then one thing led to another. I started learning about the capitalized name, and I learned about the driver's license. And
How many times do you reckon you were pulled over by the police or have been pulled over by
oh,
the police?
over 50.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it not make you? Because like it's the one thing that I'm like, I'm not, I've got my battles that I've spoken about publicly, but the whole driving license insurance thing isn't really one I want to deal with right now because I don't want to keep getting pulled over.
Yeah. You, I drove without insurance, like from their point of view, without insurance for about 2.5 years, and I got pulled over just for that, at least on a average about once a month. So, and then there was other pullovers as well, but for warrants and that kind of thing. Um, Yeah, so I was pulled over a lot. I dealt with a lot of police officers, had my truck towed many times, my van towed many times, and
Yes.
been there on the, been there, seen that, done that, got the t-shirt, got the souvenirs, got all the stuff.
And what was
And
it? What was it that, because yeah, the podcast I was watching, you were saying you'd done something with the was it the Attorney General or was it the Finance Minister or
well, it was the finance minister. So in the Motor Vehicle Act, which I read many times, I knew it better than all the police officers, pretty well all of them. Maybe one guy might have known it as well as me. The rest of them didn't. And so in there, there was a section. It's now repealed, of course, because I found it. Um, it was called financial responsibility. And if you gave I think they said a security or an instrument, I can't remember which word, to the finance minister for your in to indemnify yourself in while driving or operating a motor vehicle, then it was taken as taking financial responsibility, and then there was a card they were supposed to give you to hand to the police, I'm assuming, and a sticker to go inside your windshield of your car, and it said right in the act. So we did this. I put a bond in with the finance minister. Her name was Carol Taylor at the time. You can look her up. You can see that she left politics very quickly without notice. And, and that was the day she got her default notice. So we gave the bond to the finance minister. She was being groomed to be the next premier and probably prime minister. Like she was going up the ladder.
yeah,
She was always on TV and that kind of thing. Um, so we gave it to her. We got letters from the deputy attorney general saying you can't do this and you can't do that, and um, you need to use a court and you need to have a driver's license and you need to do this and you need to get a lawyer. Then hire, here's 1-800, hire a lawyer. And so I just kept getting the same letter from him, and we ignored those and sent to Miss Taylor like a three part administrative process. And then on the final day, on the day she got the mail, because we track it, she there was a big announcement. She just left like without 15 minutes notice, just got right out of politics, and so So that was our first sort of real bump, other than the judges. But this was moving somebody who was a little more up the chain of command. So that's what that was all about. That was a bond. So I kept driving with that bond because it was according to the act, and of course the police officers don't know what I'm talking about, and the
so just
attorney
just
general.
for just for
Yeah.
simplicity for the audience, when you say you were driving with a bond, so you wrote these notices to basically say that you,
Well, it starts with the act. So the
yeah,
act says if I give the finance minister uh, a security like money,
yeah,
then it will be taken as I'm taking financial responsibility for my actions in regards to a motor vehicle. Well, they didn't give it to me, and I gave her the bond. And ICBC, which is our insurance corporation, wouldn't give it to me. They just refused, even though it's right in the act. So then I said, okay, well, Carol Taylor, you're responsible. You need to make ICBC, which the province owns, uh, give it. And of course, the attorney general got involved, trying to divert, and we just kept sending notices to her until she went into default, and then she left. So she knew she was caught in between a rock and a hard place, and whatever we were doing was real to her.
yeah.
And but she
Because
also had this real large corporation owned by those unknown, but most likely the people who live in a certain palace in England, um, most likely. And that, so she's caught between that and this. So she's just like, I'm out.
yeah, don't want to deal
So,
with it.
and we see this a lot because the prevailing controlling mechanism, the families and the bloodlines, et cetera, however you want to look at that, um, there's a lot of nastiness involved with that. So when somebody in a position is now caught between somebody coming at them for liability and they can't push that thing over, they just get out. They get off the boat.
Yeah.
So that's what happens, and we see it all the time with what we're doing with the notices of liability at InPower, because it's just the same thing that I went through personally and learned, and now we're doing it on a mass scale. So that's how it kind of came about.
So it's interesting because I had another lady on a few months back called Janine Barbara, and she's over in New Zealand, and she was doing something similar in terms of taking this to the politicians and and the banks, and she had, I can't remember what the official term was, but for a short time, she was basically classed as the admiral head of the court. She ended up in this court and they were running around like headless chickens. And and I know this stuff works. However, we also know how corrupt the system is. And, the numbers doing this kind of stuff is still very small in comparison to, the wider scale. So but you're definitely having an impact, but the system stays as it is. So what keeps you motivated to keep doing this in as much as because, you know, take Ian Clifford, for example, who I've been working with a lot over the last few months, he's using the system as it was designed better than they do to use it
Yeah,
to how it, yeah.
the system is corrupt, but I went from looking over my shoulder, being pulled over a ton, running, anxiety, spending all my time fighting court, I was in court at least once a month for years, at least once a month, sometimes twice a week. That was my life. I had to leave work. Like it was just this thing inside me, and it was completely corrupt, and I got free from it. That's what keeps me going. So I know it can be done because I did it.
Because you did it, yeah.
Yeah. So it can be done on a mass scale. We just got to do the same thing that I did, basically, follow that same path. Not that I designed the path or had the smarts. I'm just the guy who refused to back down and just kind of kept banging my head against the wall, and finally the well fell over. And then I could go reverse engineer it and go, oh, this is why the wall fell over because I hit right there and there and there. But I hit all these other places too, which didn't knock the wall over.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So when you were in court once a month or maybe twice a week sometimes, was that all for traveling, driving stuff, or was that all sorts of stuff?
That was mostly the at least once a month on child support.
Yeah,
This so-called hearing, because I wanted to dispute it, went on for years because it just was spinning wheels and just, but I had to show up. It's like they make you show up till you give up.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just, I just want this out of my life. Well, I had to keep going. When I tried to not go like your friend, I got arrested and pepper sprayed and spent time in jail and all, like I did all that.
Why did you get pepper sprayed, right? Because like we know there's corruption, we know the police are out of control, we know all of this, but what I don't get is, and I've seen it myself, civil disputes, houses, pepper spray comes out. It's like, excuse me, A, this is a civil dispute. Why the hell are you pepper spraying me? Is that because they've got a fear that you're going to get aggressive, or were you aggressive? What? How the hell?
No, well, I'm a fairly large person. You can't tell from this, but like I'm 6'1", over 200 pounds. So I'm bigger than a lot of police officers, and and they're just trying to protect themselves. They got a family to go home to, and they don't know
Sure.
who I am. And but like, um, but when I got pepper sprayed, it was that I got pulled over for driving without insurance, and then it turned out I had a warrant on the other matter, on the child support matter.
Right.
So other officers came. There was about 5 or 6 cars there, and eight or so officers, and I wouldn't get out of the van. So I had my hands up so that, I wasn't showing any kind of, but I wanted to see the warrant, which I have apparently had the right to see.
Yep.
And they said, no, you can see it when you go down there. I said, no, I want to see it before I get out of the van. Go and get it. And they wouldn't. So I got psh, through the wind like a crack in the window because I was talking to them.
Wow.
So, and then once I went down to cover my eyes because it just came out of the blue. Then he came running up to the van and sprayed me right here, like within inches of my face. Like, there was stuff coming out of everywhere, and I couldn't see and all that. So that's why I got pepper sprayed. So
Did you
when I got
did you sue
to
them for
the
that?
I could, yeah. I when I got to the police station, the the woman behind the desk gasped because she saw, stuff coming out of everywhere. And she hadn't seen it. I don't think she'd seen that before. And she did not want to sign me in. So they had to have somebody else do it. Actually, it was the officer who was he was only operating on the freeway. So he was like a federal officer operating on Canada Highway 1. And I was in Canada Highway 1. I was in Surrey, and the warrant was from Surrey. But the Surrey guys didn't want to arrest me. They wanted this young guy to do it and then also sign me in. And I kept telling them, don't do this. And I said that, liability is huge on this. They're just using you. And he started to, panic a little bit. Anyway, she showed me the warrant and there was no signature on it. The next morning, and I think this was one of the first times that I was arrested on this for not appearing, just like your friend. So I was still learning how this worked, and I'd been arrested on the child support thing, but this, no, this was still the support thing. So the next morning, my brother's lawyer friend came to help, and he came to look at the warrant, and there were signatures all over it. And he goes, "Well, this looks this right." I said, "Well, it didn't look like that last night." He going, "What?" I said, "There weren't any signatures on it." He goes, "No way. You can't have a warrant without signatures on it." But they call it an unendorsed warrant. You can't have an unendorsed warrant. It's like having an unsigned check and then trying to pass it off as if this is, I can pay for my groceries, but I'm not going to sign the check
Yeah.
because a
Wow.
warrant is a commercial instrument. So this is what they're doing. They get you arrested, they put you in jail, and then they get you to sign an undertaking, which is probably maybe what your friend did. I have no idea. And once you sign that, now you've agreed to the arrest, and then they'll sign the warrant after the fact.
Right. And so it becomes a commercial instrument when it's signed.
Yes, it
It,
does. Yeah. Without a signature, there is no commercial instruments. They are all signed. A bill of exchange, promissory note, warrants, anything. There's always a signature.
yeah, and you very much believe as well, like Richard Werner, that your signature creates the money, right?
Your
In every,
signature can create the money. Yes, it creates the instrument for sure. In the Bills of Exchange Act for Canada, I don't know what it is in the UK or any of the other countries, but it will be there, this section. So it's section 30 in Canada's, and that is a blank piece of paper with a signature on it, can be turned into a bill of exchange. In other words, can be turned into money. So you can just a blank piece of paper with no writing on it, but a signature. Somebody can take that signature and write in after the fact all the pertinent details that are missing to make it a bill of exchange. And this happens a lot. And so I teach people this. I pound that into them. Look at section 30 because when you're signing anything, look at it. Does this start to look like a check in some way? Is there a dollar figure on it? Is there, because they can put in the date and all the, who's to pay who afterwards, but you're probably signing bills of exchange, probably not promissory notes, but bills of exchange for sure.
Well, I
But
was going to
even you could be signing a promissory note. They could write that in afterwards.
I was
After.
going to say, yeah, isn't that like a mortgage though? Because you sign and then they tell you not to date it. That gets done at a later time. And obviously we know that that promissory note then gets securitized.
Absolutely, because it becomes money in their system.
Yeah.
So for those in Canada and those actually the rest of the world as well, if you look in Canada under the Financial Administration Act, you'll see in the first part in the definitions, the definition of money. So you'll see the word money and then the definition. The definition says includes negotiable instruments.
Hmm.
The next definition is negotiable instruments, and in that list, you'll see bills of exchange and then other similar instruments at the end of the statement. So a bill of exchange is a negotiable instrument, and a negotiable instrument is money. It doesn't collect money, it is money. And that's what people say about InPower. You've got all these bills, but have you collected? And they just don't understand because they're still in the illusion that the bill collects the money, but the bankers and the banking families, the bill is the money to them.
Yeah.
Just how you described. So once that promissory note is signed, the bank puts it as an asset, as if you gave them cash.
Yeah.
Their bank balance goes up. Then they lend you the same amount of money and it goes back down to zero.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Which is so presumably you're aware of the 1933 bankruptcy and the HJR
Yeah,
192 resolution.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. So money as substance was removed and we were left with a ledger system that we
Well, it's a ledger system. There's nothing wrong with a ledger system, but what it is promises to pay. So evidence of debt is now money. It was always like that, even when there was substance. So you got to understand the merchant class brought these commercial instruments in, and then they got it into the common law courts. And Lord Mansfield was the one who solidified it in there.
Who do you
So you
mean?
got
What
to,
do you mean by the merchant class?
there's a class of people or beings, I say, because that were called merchants, and they go way, way, way back. This is ancient stuff.
Yeah.
But it's the merchant class. You had to be born a merchant. It was a class like royal or anything else. Well, they had all the money, and they started to influence the so-called royal class, which they're still doing.
Yeah.
Those merchants then turned into bankers. Now they're called the banking families, but they were originally merchants. Merchants were allowed amongst themselves. They had this thing called law merchant, which is their own rules um, of commerce, so their own unwritten laws, and they were very fluid. A lot of customary things. So what they would do instead of carrying gold around because they were like the wholesalers, they would buy like go to Liverpool and buy all the wool, and then go and make wool garments and sell them. So they were like the shake movers and shakers. They had all the money. And so amongst themselves, they would write these promises to pay. Some of them were called promissory notes, others were bills of exchange, and they could write, you're supposed to pay that guy for this. And they all agreed, and they had these rules, and it kind of it was self-governed amongst the merchant class. Well, they wanted to get it into the courts, into the proper courts, into the king's courts in England. So they lobbied um, uh, and put it in uh, a thing where promissory no bills of exchange were to be considered as money. So that was the first step. They didn't want to use promissory notes because guys can just write a promissory note and it becomes money and wow, who's really
Yeah.
who's
Nobody's well.
paying who?
Yeah. And you can't have
Yeah.
a really wealthy person because everybody could have everything, right? So,
Well, and it's just too easy. So they really were dragging their feet on that. Well, they got it in. And then Lord Mansfield made it so that the common law courts could hear law merchant matters. So any commercial matter could now be heard in the proper courts instead of the pie powder courts or the staple courts, which were commercial for the the merchant class. From that
how long
point,
ago was that, Cal?
1700s.
So he's the arsehole we've got to thank for this.
Yeah. So this is prior to, for those that are in the United States, this is prior to the United States forming. So that was already established in the colonies. So the common law court, law merchant was being heard in the common law court. Well, they just stopped talking about that,
Hmm.
but it's still happening. And this is why all courts are commercial. They'll let us talk about Admiralty, but they don't want you talking about law merchant
Right.
because that's where the instruments are.
Yeah.
Don't look at those because if you guys figure that out, we're in big trouble. Well, that's what we're doing at InPower.
Got it.
We're looking at those and we're doing them, and there's nothing they can do. So once it was in there, um, the judges were to take judicial notice of the law merchant, and now any commercial case can be judged in law merchant, which you don't have to have proof like common law. You don't even have to have contracts. You can have agreements. There's a whole bunch of things in law merchant that once you understand it, you'll go, oh, that's what's going on in the court. And when I look back, now I can go, oh, that's what I was seeing in there. And I didn't know what's going on in here. Now I see it. So once I got to that point, I stopped trying to make it a common law court because that's what people do. They first find out about the whole um, the straw man and the I'm not that and I'm not doing this and I'm not agreeing to any of this stuff and this is a common law court and the judge is looking at them like you don't know what you're talking about. Or in the US, well, I have the Constitution and they look at you like the Constitution has nothing to do with what's going on in here. This is a business and the Constitution is irrelevant. You've agreed to be here or you've agreed in some way. There's an agreement. That's all I'm looking at. So the judges they look at everything as commercial because almost everything that comes through a court in this day and age is commercial,
Yeah.
and mostly because all of the parties are this common law. I mean this straw man capitalized name, which is a merchant name. They turned us all into merchants. So every case is a merchant case. So that law merchant, law merchant, law merchant, law merchant, law merchant. And you don't realize what's happening. Once you realize what's happening, the game is over because now you can act like a merchant instead of trying to act like I'm a sovereign citizen or I'm not that name or I'm not this or I'm not that. And all this arguing, you just go in there and settle the matter. And actually, you can switch the liability because now you can see that it's commerce. It's all about money. Okay, well then how do I access the money? Oh, there's a birth certificate with a trust associated to it, apparently. Well, let's see if that works. Boom. Now I can actually move that money. They were moving it for me because I'm the beneficiary and I've got this debt or this accusation or this charge against me. So they're acting as trustee and moving money out of there on my behalf and then making me pay it as well in fiat. Well,
So
once you go in there and go, hey, hang on a second here. I'm the beneficiary. I'm going to make this money move, and I'm going to put a liability on you, judge, to make sure you act properly. Well, now the judges want to get out of the room.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've seen judges get out of the room over here, but it's not like that. It's more like the birth certificate, the common, but more the common law sort of stuff. But they do run out of the room, but it doesn't make the problem go away. they will continue regardless, whether they come back into the court or not. So what I wanted to ask you was, you said Admiralty and Merchant are different. In what way?
Merchant law is on the land mostly, and admiralty is on the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do cross over. So, and there was lots of ebbing and flowing until Lord Mansfield said, okay, everything's going to happen here. So, what if you think in terms of commerce and the merchant class again, this is like the Silk Road and going way back into ancient Babylonian times. And the city states and all the commerce that went along there. So you have these goods, and they used to take them by camel train, and then people just built big boats. Oh, well, this is way better. We can actually put it in a boat and send it over to this thing called England from India or wherever. And so they started putting it in boats. And then once it got to where it was going, it would go back on the land. So just think in terms of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, got you.
So it's still commerce, but there's a point at the dock where it goes from the land onto a boat. And now there's different rules on that boat, and then it goes back on the land. And so Admiralty kind of went on the land a little bit, and Law Merchant went out into the water a little bit. They kept going back and forth, and there was a lot of discord. And then the common law courts were trying to run its own thing, but they were really slow because everything had to be proved to the nth degree, and you have to have a contract that is a this has to match that offer acceptance. Uh, the quid pro quo, I can't remember what you call it, something penny. There was this there was all these weird customs, and if nothing, if all these things weren't met, now you've got a problem. Well, in Law Merchant, it wasn't like that. It was very fluid and moved very quickly. So their court cases would last hours, where in the common law courts, it would last months or years for a dispute. Well, if you have a dispute about something on a boat and you've put a warrant on the boat, arrested the boat,
Yeah.
signed, well, the goods could spoil in 3 months. We gotta get to the like who owns this, what's missing, why, now, because we can't go on and on and on. So everything moved very quickly. Disputes at the fairs, you couldn't go 3 months because the fair was going to end in a week, and all the merchants are just going to be off running down the road, and you'll never find them again. The boat will leave at high tide, and you'll never see that boat again.
Mm.
So their courts move very quickly, and it was based on probabilities, even, which now the court does, and they'll have um, summary judgment or moving summarily. You'll hear those words. That means it's not based on fact. It's based on it's probably happened, and I'm deeming it so. So this is this is how they morph the courts into what we have now today. But once you see it, it's not a big stretch. Like if you're trying to make the court be a common law court, you can do that because that the common law is still there. But you've got to make sure that you understand what it is that what they're doing is not it's not the common law, it's law merchant. And once you see it, you go, oh, okay, well now I get it. And I don't agree with it, but I get it. And now you start acting like that, then you'll get through there much quicker.
And how did you, like you said, you accessed obviously some information about all of this. Where did you access this information about the law merchant?
Online, there's
Yeah.
lots of treatises on it. There's lots of history. There's books on it. They're not readily available. It's not taught at law school, which we use to our advantage because we get lawyers, writing to us saying you can't do this and you can't do that, and blah 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 blah, and you have to have a meeting of the minds. You can't have a self-executing contract. And we go, yeah, in law merchant, actually you can. Well, there's no such thing as law merchant. Oh, really? Why is law merchant written in this federal act, in the Bills of Exchange Act? Unfortunately, they didn't teach you this at law school, but that's not my problem. Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Yeah.
Get up to speed or get out of the way. And they usually back right off because this is something lawyers tend to be a certain type of person. And when they realize that they don't know everything to that degree where they've been actually duped because the books were held from them. They think they got all the books because they went to law school, but the law school is owned by the same people who are running the show.
Yeah.
And so they spoon feed the lawyers. This is what the law is. Never mind those books over there. We'll handle that part of it. So
Yeah.
it's the law merchant that is the key that they're hiding. It's hidden in plain view, but they're hiding it.
And if you used that for, let's say, what's happening a lot more over the world is people are going into foreclosure for different reasons. But have you been able to use this to help somebody in that situation?
Yes, I did. Back in the experimental days, I helped a couple with the foreclosure, and they were living in their house for 8 months, and the court case had stopped. There was no more, just nothing happening, and gave one instruction: do not take any paperwork from anybody. Simple. That's it. Couldn't do it.
So sorry, we back up a little bit. So did you send certain documents to that mortgage lender or so-called mortgage lender? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So sent a promissory note, my own promissory note. I paid for it. Plus, extra. And the court backed off. They couldn't proceed. It was a second mortgage company. And so the instruction was do not take any paperwork from anybody. But here are the things that I heard. Oh, now that this house is paid off, can I take out another mortgage? Do you see the problem?
Yeah.
So I wasn't helping anybody.
Yeah.
No, you can't. Well, can we sell the house? No, you can't sell it. You can give it away. You can't sell it. Not for fiat dollars. You can't do that exchange. Okay, so don't take any paperwork from anybody. You can live in your house. Woman comes up, can't drop it at her feet. This is the secretary from the law firm. Cal, I was standing there and I said, I'm not taking any, I can't take any paperwork from you. Please take it. Please take it. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it. And she said, I had my hand behind my back and I'm not going to take that. And I'm not going to take it. And then I took it
Back in contract.
back in court. So it started up again. We found out that the master on the case was a partner of the lawyer for this second mortgage company. And they were teaching foreclosures to lawyers. They had a business and they had a book. So we got the book, read it, and used their book against the master. Well, the whole thing shut down again. And I took the lady to the court myself. I should have just gone myself, which I had done. And then I took her once. They had never seen her before because they never appeared in any of the foreclosure hearing proceedings. But they assumed that was her because she was with me. And so we were sitting in the back. They called that case. We just sat there, just observing. And then the judge was, if the clerk stood up, he literally went around to make sure that he was making eye contact with me the whole time and like making sure I could hear. I'm in the very back corner. And so he was like speaking to me, and he goes, and then he's actually speaking to the lawyer, but he's making sure that he's making eye contact with me. So he's talking to me, but he's actually talking to the lawyer, and he goes, your paperwork's a little out of it's just it's not it's it was a little out of order or something like that. So the whole case was about to be, whew. And he goes, well, okay, well, can we take a break? So took a break. So we go out, and we're sitting in the foyer, and he starts yelling her name from across the foyer. And there's a lot of people there, and they're all like, why is he yelling? He's yelling. And I looked at her and I said, do not answer him. He doesn't know who you are. She's sitting right across from me like this, like I'm looking at you. And he walks up still yelling, and he's standing right in front of us. And I'm saying it right in front of him, look at me. Do not look up at him. We're sitting down, he's standing up. So did I help somebody?
Well,
Twice,
yeah.
but I didn't. That's when I stopped helping people because I realized a lot of people that I did help bounce back in. So it was almost like they had to go through something that I was pulling them out of, but they had to go back in. And so I went, okay, this isn't working. I'm not going to just do this. Um, so I kind of stopped helping people that I didn't know. I helped just friends and friends of friends. So that's my experience. And I had people where court cases were stopped, but they don't give you notice.
Hmm.
They're not going to tell you. You just got to go, okay, we're done. Let's go.
Yeah, they've not written it in a letter and said, "Oh, it's all done, it's all settled."
Yeah, we're bad. You're good. You win. No, they don't do that. They will
No.
let you, okay, just let that one go. And then I say, don't go back into that courtroom or a courthouse. I just had to see. Boom.
Yeah. I get it.
That's
I get
that's
it. It's like you're sort of left
that's
in the unknown, aren't you? So,
yeah, that's the problem with helping people. So yes, I did help people, and some people did were able to go all the way and get out, but others they just would just jump right back in. So yes and no.
and going back to the trust, if you like. So are you an advocate that that private trust? Because there's so much conflicting information. There's this trust that people are dipping their hand into, and it's actually our trust, and it's because of the birth certificate, and and all of these different things that come out. What's your understanding of it all?
Well, it's not our trust. We're the beneficiary. So if you have, say you're a wealthy person and one of your children is a drug addict. And so in your will, you will give an inheritance to the children who don't have the drug problem. You'll hear. But the child with the drug problem, you will set up a trust and a trustee. So it's not theirs. It's actually still the grantors, but they have a trustee that will help you as a beneficiary as they see you need have an actual need, not just give you all this money because you will turn it into a train wreck.
Yeah,
So that's the situation. They created this so-called trust in order to so that when we have these fines, etc., because they took away the money at the same time. So they had to have a remedy for this. So the trust, and that's why there's a capitalized name on your birth certificate. So when the capitalized name comes in there and they go charge, that you're charged
yeah,
with blah, 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 and the fine is blah, blah, blah. Well, now there's a way to get the money to pay that. So if you go in there and fight that, they will still going to ram it down your throat and they're going to make you pay in fiat. But if you just go, okay, there's some trust there that I obviously you're trying to hide from me, but here's my signature and we are done. And you hold your ground and they know that you know it's over.
What does that actually look like in reality? I'm still trying to picture it. It's something I've not done. So, say, I'm in court, I receive a fine, a speeding fine, let's say, £1,000. Um, and how do you get them to accept that acceptance or whatever it is for that to be gone?
You have to understand what it is. I think a lot of people, 90% of the people doing this are trying to get out of something.
Yeah.
And so they hear something, oh, I just need to write these words with this ink, lick my finger 4 times and stick this there and do that and bang my elbow on the wall.
Yeah.
And that's going to magically make this go away. Well, it doesn't. It's when you understand it, it's like when if you've ever seen The Wizard of Oz, go to the very end and watch the 3 minutes when the curtain goes back and the dog starts moving the curtain. A couple of things happen there. Pay no attention to that man. And then once they open it up, who are you? I'm the Wizard of Oz. Dorothy's first words, you can't be. She still doesn't believe it. Once they did believe it, now the world changed. So it's you have to understand what it is you're doing, not just write down because some internet site said write these words. If you don't know what those words mean, then they're not doing anything in the reality.
Yeah.
You're just putting words on paper. So in a traffic ticket, the ticket itself is the bill of exchange because it'll have right on there name, owes X amount of dollars for speeding or whatever it is, a date, and then a signature. And even the officer's signature is, it doesn't matter whose signature is on there. So that has to be accepted by whoever the debtor is on there. So once the debtor accepts it, it's now a full on bill of exchange. It's money, becomes money.
Yeah. So
The
in this
thing
could,
is,
yeah.
the thing is, because they took HJR 192 and other acts around the world, they took the money away. Therefore, that's all there is pieces of paper that balance off other pieces of paper.
Yeah.
That's all there can be. And once you really understand that, not agree with it, but you have to really come to terms with that.
Yeah.
And when you do, it's like you're in a new reality, like the four people in Wizard of Oz. Because prior to that curtain opening up, they were talking to the thing on the wall and then running up and down the yellow brick road, going and getting things and doing this and that, doing that, and writing oh, I got the stamp and I got the red ink and I put I got blood on that, like all that stuff. It doesn't do anything unless you understand what it is you're doing.
Mm.
So it's that. It's really coming to terms with it. I went through stages. There was what I thought my country and court was because I was trained in school and I read, sang the national anthem and I went, wore red on the Olympics and I, all the stuff. So now I think there's a country, and then courts I think was from TV, Perry Mason and these court shows because I was never in there. So you're assuming and you see the balance scale and all that. Well, that's not what was true. So there was what I thought it was. I got in there, it wasn't that. So then I researched and I found out what it should be, which is a common law court and all this stuff, because I never researched any of that before. And I tried to make it be that. And I just got,
Yeah.
once I found out what it is, that was the beginning of me getting out of this. Now, I didn't like what it is, but I understood what it is, and then I could act as it is, not what it should be or not what I thought it was. So it's those steps that you go through with almost all of this stuff. Somebody can tell you, what to write on a bill of exchange, but if you don't understand why you're doing it or what it is you're doing, it has little effect. It can work, but mostly it won't.
Okay. Okay. So I was just thinking about the process over here. So like you get a speeding fine, it's probably the same everywhere, but comes through the door, it has the all caps on. It's probably been taken by a camera somewhere because there's a gazillion of them now. And there's a form that you're supposed to complete with black ink in capitals and all that sort of stuff. So if that happened to you, you get this speeding fine. Do you just ignore it or do you write something on it and send it back and it's done?
Well, where I live, I just ignore it because I know how they collect and I don't have a driver's license, right? So it's just, again, it's knowledge. I can look at that and go, well, it's a piece of paper. I can toss it over my shoulder
Yeah.
because the only place they collect any of this stuff is when you renew your license or to renew your car insurance. That's when they get you because now you got to pay this first. That's how they do it. So because I know that, I have direct knowledge of it. I know I'm never going to get my license or insure a car. So you won't collect.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's just knowledge, right? So I read the acts. If I can give people advice, what they do is they put headlines out. This is the drive-through sort of mentality. An act passed today, and it's this. And even on so-called freedom sites, it's doing this. And then I go and read the act. Yeah, well, it's doing that, except in this case, that case, and that case. Well, they left that part out of the headlines. You've got to go and read the act. And any government thing where they put it out, they'll have a hyperlink right to the act, and nobody clicks on it. They just read
Hmm.
the page. We're all going to die. Mm-hmm. Click. No, we're not all going to die.
Yeah. I mean,
Because that's not,
I was going to say these acts are pretty long and pretty convoluted in their language, which puts everybody off, doesn't it?
that's on purpose. But most of these, like the COVID acts, were very short, one page, two
Right.
pages at most. But nobody read them. They just read the headlines. I had one guy goes, "We can't have groups of 50 anymore. What are we going to do?" I said, "Well, first of all, the group that you have, is it over 50? Or are you just panicking?" He didn't answer. So probably not. And I said, I actually looked at the act and it said you can have a group over 50. You just have to take their names and phone numbers. But what it doesn't say is those names have to be correct. You just have to comply.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse, Goofy, and Donald Duck all showed up in my meeting. Well, didn't you take ID? I'm not required to take ID. Just said collect the names. See, it's that knowledge that empowers you no matter what comes at you. Show me where I was supposed to show me in the act where it says I had to collect ID or make sure or verify the information. It's not there. And that's because I read the act.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes perfect sense, Cal.
Yes, you got
Yeah.
to put some effort in.
Yes.
It's not a drive-through situation. You got to go and get the ingredients, mix them together properly, and fail a couple of loaves of bread before you get it. Oh, that's a perfect sourdough. Looks great. It's perfect. If you
Yeah.
think you're gonna just drive through and get the piece of bread and it somehow pass it off as if you baked it, they'll know.
Yeah. 100%.
And they test you in it. So when you're standing in the a judge can size you up in about three questions, and you don't have the answers for it. You don't know what you're doing. I can just push you over. You won't be able to stand. So it's really knowledge is the key, and you don't have to have all the knowledge, but you got to put some effort in, and then you learn as you go. I learned the hard way, and I saw what happened when I was held for 60 days. I signed nothing. Didn't sign coming in, didn't sign going out, wouldn't sign to get into the sheriff's truck to go to court. They couldn't prove I was there.
Yeah.
So when they're going to get paid for this inmate that they've been warehousing for 60 days, where's the signatures?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that knowledge and then standing on that and don't waver. So I couldn't order extra stuff in. I had the money, but I refused to open up an account so I could buy chips and extra and shampoo and deodorant because you don't supply any of that. So I have to tough it out and not have these niceties. So it's not a drive through in your Maserati and get the thing, and they put the straw in there for you, and then okay, I got the thing, and now I'm free to go. No, it's not like that. It's you got to get in there. You got to get dirty. You got to get some stuff on your hands,
Yeah.
and yeah, and so that's what we try and teach at InPower is we teach the principles, but we don't hand out templates other than the notice of liability. That's definitely templated. But the rest of it, we don't get into mortgage or how we don't give any in direct instructions. You learn this and then do it on your own, and people are doing that, and then they feel empowered.
Yeah. Which is the whole point.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. So, for somebody that is new to InPower or has known about it but hasn't done anything with it, what does it look like for somebody going into InPower?
You get a lot of number one, you get community. So we've got a really good community and there's a lot of knowledgeable people in there. So there's a lot of just sharing knowledge, behind the scenes in a private container because
Yeah.
yeah. So things can be spoken very openly in that private container. So we're not in the public. And the community, it's different than most. There is no arguing. There's, not everybody sees eye to eye, but there's none of this. You're up, and none of that happens. It pops up every once in a while, but it doesn't it doesn't get any ground because people are
Yeah.
just like, we don't do that here. And then you kind of slink away because nobody will engage you in at that level. And so we've had people leave and then come back, changed, like they more in line. So there's that. And then there's a ton of information on Law Merchant. So all that, you can read till your eyes the eyes bleed. And then we have series where I teach Dave and we have a discussion every second Wednesday. Like today would be one. Um, and we switch between Law Merchant and then biblical studies. So we take themes from the Bible and give a different spin on it than what you would normally get in a church or whatever. And it's helped people to understand what the Bible is and what the Bible is not, and be able to understand that the commercial system and the Bible uh, concepts are a mirror image of each other. There's something about that. Like there's one is copying the other, and um,
Is that in
so you
relation as well to Mercatoria, or is that
yeah
separate? Yeah, that
yeah
is. Yeah.
yeah. So law merchant is lex mercatoria.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just English. Lex mercatoria is Latin.
Okay.
So that's the ancient law of the merchants, so the commercial thing. And they don't want you learning about that. They don't even want lawyers knowing about it because it has all the commercial instruments in there and it has agreements. Now they're using agreements against us, but now you can use agreements and they're not contracts. But they can be enforced like contracts. So once you see all these principles of how they've been doing it to you, you can now avail yourself of that thing. And here's the kicker. They turned you into a merchant with your birth certificate. So it's like, how do you like me now? This is why they don't want you learning about this. Because they can't even say at like in the 1700s, they could have said, well, you're not a merchant. This doesn't apply to you. You can't do bills of exchange. You don't come from a merchant family. Well, they turned us all into merchants so that they could get make wealth off of our signatures in our ignorance. Once you understand there is this merchant name, now you're on level playing ground with them. And we in, en masse, if we understood merchant principles, could build wealth way faster than they did because they were a smaller group, like just those families. So even with our small group of 2,000 people, we're I think we're at 53 or $4 billion US right now in bills of exchange.
That's not money in the bank.
That's money on a piece of paper,
Yeah.
just like $20 bills.
Yeah.
So $20 bill in a bank that's not in a bank is still $20.
Yeah. I'm just
Yeah.
playing that devil's advocate. People going, what? 51? What? Eh?
It is money according to their rules.
Yeah, I know.
So it's just not spendable at the store, partly because people don't understand what it is, and mostly because they're too big. Like most of these things are in the millions of dollars. So all we're going to do is now take that whole thing because they are moving towards digital currency. We're going to issue a digital currency on these bills of exchange. And if our money is more sound and we have more of the money because we're actually billing the money out of their system onto our pieces of paper, then the people now are in control of the money instead of these psychopaths.
Yeah.
And so that is the long-term goal if they don't repent and turn around, which doesn't look like they want to. They just keep going on plan A.
Yeah. Yeah. And in terms of the stuff that you're doing with all the other crap that's going on, like 5G and things like that, is that the notices that are going out, is that basically to get it shut down, or is it again all commerce? It's to get it shut down, yeah.
It's to get it shut down, but because they don't shut it down, that's used as an agreement to the fee schedule. This is their system.
Yeah.
We go, we don't like your 5G, and here's the reasons why in an affidavit form, about 30 points. It's causing this harm, that harm, that harm. Tell me I'm wrong in an affidavit. If you don't, then this is the truth in commerce and in law.
Yeah.
So if this is the truth, then you need to stop putting these things up. If you don't stop, I'm going to charge you 20, 30, 40, $50,000 a day. Do we have an agreement? If you go silent, which is what you were relying on to even put these things up, you're relying on our silent acquiescence. So now I've just flipped that on you too. So if you keep putting these up, I'm going to start billing you, and these will be called a bill of exchange, and they are money. So now that there's a whole other separate accruing of money in the world. And if 2,000 people can come up with $50,000 on $50 billion, then $20,000 would come up with $500 billion. 200,000 people, which is not that much. Now you're into trillions.
Yeah.
Do you see the power we have?
Mm.
Now, if we all start using that money and ignore theirs goes to,
Yeah.
so all of Bill Gates' trillions of dollars or billions at least now are worthless because we're not using them. The only reason why they have any value is because we give them the value. We say that's $20 and I will exchange $20 worth of goods or services for that piece of paper. Well, now that all that wealth is now on our pieces of paper and it's now digital, which they can't get at. And they can't get at the bills either. They're not centralized. They can't blow up building 7 and get rid of them all
Yeah.
because everybody
Wow.
holds their own bill. Yeah.
Wow. Exciting. Very
It is
exciting.
it really is an exciting time to be alive, Mel. I have to say, I I I feel privileged to be in Earth at this moment.
Some days I do. Some days I'm like, what is this? But we know it's the Great Awakening. We know, we know we were here for a reason. We're here to help the old crumble and
Yes.
the light come through. That's exactly what it's all about. And
Yeah.
actually live a life that we're supposed to live.
Yes.
Joy and just be rather than do and and everything else that we go through on a daily basis. Um,
Exactly.
I know it's fucking crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
So
is crazy.
that's all because of the reason why that is the root reason, money. That's
I
the
know.
root mechanism. We have to deal with the money. It doesn't matter about politics or anything else. It's money that does all the bad things in the earth. And the people who have all the money are absolutely demented.
Yes, that I will agree with.
So that there's the root of the problem. You take the money from them, well now they're kind of Bill Gates is just a guy or a girl or whatever it is in a pink sweater but there's no authority there.
No.
It's the money that makes people listen to him.
Do you have, and nobody can predict anything because it's just like watching one big movie at the moment, but in terms of the momentum that you guys are building and it's building out, and obviously there's other organizations and groups of people that are doing similar but different and getting their own momentum. Do you have an idea of when this what you're building, just focusing on what you're doing, could physically stop, right? I mean, we keep hearing that the fiat system is done. We keep hearing that we're on this quantum system. If we are, we've always been on a digital system because it's just been digits on a screen for the last however many years anyway. So, and it's like you get thrown so many different things, and you're like, what is the actual truth? Well, there probably is no actual truth, but in terms of your perspective and what you guys are building, do you think, right, if we go on at this rate, I reckon in the next 5 years, that system is gone and we've got the power back?
Yeah.
What's your forecast?
I would say within 5 years,
Oh,
yes.
you reckon five?
Yeah. If we don't get it within 10, they will have mostly what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, they got 2030 as their thing, but they're not there.
yeah,
There's so much infrastructure and there's so much their whole thing is coming apart almost faster than they're putting it together because there's just so much coming at them. Um, the whole birth certificate thing has been frauded out and it's creating a a huge mess in the AI systems that they want to be able to run because AI can't get it out of its head. It's like, no, it's right there. It's on a blockchain. I can't not see it. And so if they turn this thing on, it will actually it has the potential to turn on those who turned it on
okay,
because the default is there and well actually you're the perpetrator. They're going to try and make us to be the perpetrators of this debt and therefore confiscate everything and they will own nothing and be happy. Well, AI is looking, no, it's actually you guys that are the debtors. Looks to me like they're the creditors. And so they've got huge, huge problems. And they're scrambling. They're like you said earlier, chickens with their heads cut off, just running around, blood's throwing everywhere, but it's inevitable. It's coming apart.
yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
now they're going to go to the alien thing, like
I know, yeah. We've been saying this for the last how many years, and everyone's like, "Yeah, what a load of bollocks!" And here we are. We're about to see some aliens. Um, okay. So, is there anything else, like, well, in terms of where you are right now with the movement, for anybody that is interested to learn more or to jump straight in or whatever, where's the best place for them to go?
empowermovement.org. So it's
Cool.
IN. Actually, it's right there on my shirt, if you can
There we
read
go.
it.
In power.
Yeah. And movement.org.
And are you in social medias if anybody wanted to follow you, Cal?
I'm in Facebook. I don't do the other ones because I don't do apps on my phone, but I never have. But I'm on Facebook and Empower's on Facebook, and we have a campaign going out right now. It's more of a awareness campaign, so it kind of leaves you hanging on purpose. I'm still like, I'm not so sure about that, but anyway, that's what's going on. Um, so that's out there, and then I'm doing a European tour in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to be going to Netherlands, Belgium, Ireland, and Denmark.
Yes, I heard about that because I think my friend, she is friends with somebody else who I think they got in too late to get you to England. You've ended up in Ireland.
Yeah,
So and what does that event look like? Is it a speaking event at a venue
yeah,
somewhere? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there'll be two in Ireland, two in Denmark, um, one in Belgium, and kind of two in Netherlands.
And is there still availability for those?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
So that'll be on the InPower website, presumably, if people wanted to.
yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And have you got any new things in the pipeline for the movement that you're cooking up, or is it simply, expanding on what you're doing?
We're working on the we're working on the token that we're going to be giving to people. It's not for sale, which nobody does. And so, we're going to be, this will be your bills of exchange turned into a spendable token, and you don't have to buy it. Like you don't buy it with fiat dollars. You get it because you have created a bill of exchange. So we're turning it into a token for you, keeping track, and there's a lot to do with that. It's not easy to,
No.
they don't just pop out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It seems like they do, but they don't. So yeah, we're working on that. That's very exciting. There won't be anything like it, although I mean it's a token, but the premise of it is completely different. So it's not a speculation thing. It's not something you can buy. You can, you know, acquire it from others, but we're not going to be selling it at all. Like it'll just be given. So nobody that I know of puts this much effort into a undertaking with no profit in mind. And to see the group that shows up for this is just, I sometimes weep because they're all like that. They're all like-minded, and it is not about what do I get out of this. It's what can I contribute with my knowledge and my experience so that I or my offspring, my grandchildren, live in a different world.
Yeah.
And or at least not the world that they're trying to move to. And so it's amazing that you find people like that. And I look forward to that meeting every week. And it's, just because of these people. And I just like being around them, just it's really special. So the whole offering is going to be special. And once people catch on, and even the big players um, in the world are still, unless they're part of in on the upper, moves of these things, like they're part of that. bloodline, those bloodlines. But even the bigger players in the world are really scrambling for what currency are we going to be able to trust in here, right? Like what's going on? We can't trust the US dollar anymore. Can't trust anything. So what do I do with my holdings? Like how do I run an airline when I don't know if the money's going to just fall out?
Yeah,
When they see this, some of the bigger players will go, that makes sense. We'll take that.
interesting. I'm in
Yeah.
I'm in quite a privileged position in terms of various people, organizations that I'm aware of that are trying to do similar thing. Um, and it's interesting, only in the last couple of years, really, the money side of it. Now people are like, we're going to create our own currency or our own money in whatever that looks like. So it is happening. And I asked the question fairly recently because I was like, it's so frustrating. We've got all of these great communities and organizations that are popping up all around the world, and they're all wanting the same thing. We just want to be left alone and have a nice life. That's all we want. Um, and everybody's coming at it slightly different angle. And like you said, you started with the common law when you started to get dragged into the bullshit. And then you realize quickly that you're banging your head against a brick wall and your education evolved. Now, some people are still in the common law world and fully believe in it, especially in this country, because we've got the Magna Charta and all that kind of stuff. And I was asking the question, oh God, why can't everybody just come together? But that's never going to happen. And it's a bit like, I don't know, fairies, elves, and pixies, right? We can all live on this beautiful world, um, having our own, whatever it is that we've created or been part of and helped create. And as long as we don't mess with you and you don't mess with us and we all live harmoniously, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter because all we want is to have a nice life, be able to laugh and be joyful and not be screwed over by debt and have some nice clean food and clean water and clean air. That's essentially, and have good health. That's essentially all we want.
And maybe
Um,
shelter, depending on where you live in the world. That's it. I know.
yeah. But I think it is possible. What you guys are doing and creating is amazing. There's other organizations out there. You've got the WMA, which I've probably spoke to you about before, the World Marshal Authority are doing their amazing things. Then you've got the likes of Ian Clifford, the Republic of Old Souls, the Old Souls Nation, which is being created. You've got CABI in this country, which is the Community Assembly of the British Isles, and he's doing it in terms of like little communities, starting with groups of three, and that could just be a group of three on a street to be able to,
Wow.
you know what I mean? So there is so much of this going on, and I suppose I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know what it's going to look like, but I suppose all of these are going to get bigger, and we will get closer together, and then at some point, because you're never going to have, and we don't want it, one prime minister, a king, all that shite. We don't want that because then you turn it right back into where we're getting out of. So I suppose, and the other thing that's obviously happening is our consciousness is rising, and people's spiritual journeys are accelerating. And so my thinking here today is going to be irrelevant in 2 years' time. It's going to be irrelevant in 1 year's time, and I will be thinking differently anyway. So
Yeah.
asking all these questions right now, I've just got myself right back down and gone, okay, no, doesn't matter, does it? Because all we've got is right here, right now, and that thinking. But in a year's time, I'm not going to worry about it because it is going to be different, and we will have evolved, and we will be coming closer together. Is my thoughts anyway.
Yeah, as long as we're moving towards it, there's something about movement. You don't want to sit back, but you will be guided. Like I was guided. When I look back, I can see that I was guided, but when I was moving through it, it didn't feel like that all the
No,
time.
yeah,
But there was there was order to it, and but it was because I kept moving. I was always pushing forward and hitting something or trying to get around, but a door would open, and now I'm in another room. Oh, now there's another door. And so it just goes like that. But if you don't move, Yeah, you don't want to be stagnant. You want to be moving at this time. Like get involved with something because it's all, like you said, it's all moving and growing as it should.
Exactly. And what a perfect way to finish. Thank you so much, Cal, for giving me your time again. I know this is going to be another really popular one. I love what you're doing. I love the movement that you've created. The lady that I've recently become friends with that's part of this already. I mean, she's such a great lady. She's one of these that just research, research, research. She's just her education is amazing. And if that's the sort of caliber that you're attracting, then hats off to you.
Yeah,
Um,
I met her last week. She was at our new members meeting, and yeah, she was like, she's
yeah,
on it.
she's definitely on it. She definitely is.
Yeah,
Well, thank you again, Cal. It's been an absolute pleasure.
thanks a lot, Mel.